Schiller used to say, the German poet, he used to say, if you can help but not write, then don't write. Only those people who cannot help but be anything else, they should be writers. I was in New York trying to get a job, and I applied and applied and applied, and by the end of the summer, finally, I became a reporter at Time magazine, which was really to say that I was a glorified fact checker. But it was very, very grand, because Time magazine in those days was still this major event. When the magazine came out, it was like the whole country's conversation was sort of steered towards whatever was on the cover of Time. And then the London bombings had happened in 2005, and I'd been covering them for Time magazine. And I wrote a cover story for a magazine called Prospect on the London bombings. And at the same time, I'd discovered my relationship with my strange father in Pakistan. And the two things kind of collided in my mind, and I decided that I wanted to do this journey, basically from Istanbul to Mecca, and from Mecca to Pakistan. And it was a journey in part discovering my father, in part a journey through the Islamic world. And it became the basis for my first book, Stranger to History. When I came back, I sold the book on proposal, went back to India, spent 2 to 3 years writing it, and then published my first book in 2009. So then the novels began to come, like the smaller ones, and then The Way Things Were in 2014, which was a big novel. And now I've come to the point where I've sort of returned to nonfiction in a different way, and I'm going to have my first sort of nonfiction book in 10 years come out. It's called The Twice Born, and it comes out in March. It's a very strange book. It's set in a temple town in India, very remote setting. It uses a priesthood, which are the priesthood of the Brahmins, as a prism to look at the conflict between tradition and modernity. So you have many of the things that we discuss every day, the rise of populism, the rise of a politics of revivalism, of revenge, of all these huge antagonisms which are as familiar now to us in America as they are in India and parts of Turkey, and a kind of movement that's sweeping the world. But rather than looking at it in a very broad sweeping way, we have this very narrow setting. It's almost like a kind of reduction in scale in order to try to get at something bigger.